making our way over towards Erangel. So, Circle, I mean, the playing path, not too crazy. Just going to be pretty much eastern-sided.
Not too crazy. That's
we haven't seen a lot of teams really pushing over to that west too much. Most of the teams are dropping back over towards the east, so just a couple of teams going to have to adapt. In comparison, if we saw one that was back over towards the west, I feel like that would be far more detrimental.
I guess. It's just an interesting one because obviously obviously we're going to be looking at Tempo, Loki, Endemic. The other teams obviously are probably going to be calling, as we already see, Endemic actually dropping down to the Povka. So Rumbler's finally getting a plane from the Spell. We've seen them flexing a lot over to Kameshki, but they are going to get their spot. But other ones, eyes towards Wildcard. They got a long way to go. Genesis probably going to make it. But yeah, expect the southwestern side of the map to maybe have some mishaps.
Maybe back towards the northwest. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Really, first circle is going to dictate the craziness that could or could not happen. If it falls along plane path, not a lot of adaptations are going to have to happen. But if it ends up going, let's say, Georgia Pool, that's where the fun starts to kick off. Now, Genesis looks like Genesis is still kind of falling off. They're going to be landing in Pachinki. No big surprise there. Riot Squad still doing a long drop back over towards Morsk. Really, it feels like Tempo Storm are going to have the rough go of it, but Circle does pop, and it's going to be very centered on Yasnaya.
I mean, great stuff for Lazarus to start the day off, obviously, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. We can already see Riot Squad still down to the southwest. They're going to have a hell of a time getting in on the southwest side of this, because obviously these teams that are further west they are, the slower they're going to be out of their looting phase.
One thing I want to keep an eye on is you can see where Envy, always next to Ghost, as well as Rumblers across right on the edge of the circle. We do have Loki and Zenith that did opt towards military base. We're going to have to figure out how they're going to make their rotations back up into the circle, because sometimes we have seen Envy and Ghost not move too far from this position and kind of post up.
I mean, we've seen Ghost bridge camp before, especially on planes like that, and obviously circles that, account for it, so to say, but... yeah, Ghost being one of the first ones out. I'm not sure if that would be a big switch up if they did rotate early. They are typically a later rotating team, but they're gonna have a pretty clear shot into the compound that they usually take in this circle.
I really love looking at the total damage stat. You get an idea on how much these teams like to scrap, not necessarily kills, not walking away with knocks, just how much they want to take shots and how much they're hitting those shots on teams that are rotating around them. Lazarus up at the top of that, over 3,000, with E United falling through. E United, it felt like they were fighting everybody the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I actually just had a quick word with Taylor before these games started. He said specifically they're pushing everything. So I guess they're going to be going back to what we saw in week one, which we're in week one we did see that.
One thing to note while we're looking at this, Riot Squad actually in 8th. For as much as we talk about how they're running around getting kills, it seemed to be very efficient with damage. They just get their kills and they continue on. They don't seem to like prolonged skirmishes, so then their damage numbers are not that high.
Yeah, and I think we maybe alluded toward this on the desk, but if we had all 4 players firing on the same cylinders that later is on, obviously that stat would probably be a bit different.
Mystery. I want to say Mystery.
Mystery's been putting in work, and again, that's not to say that the other 2 on the team have been underperforming, but when you have one standout player that's in top 5, obviously it does speak volumes when you're 8th in damage overall.
Well, that kind of becomes the story with Leda, is you were alluding to this on the pregame loot, is nobody was expecting him to be like that top fragging position.
Maybe even
it's a role he stepped into, and that's kind of what makes him this talking point. Is it was just such a surprise growth from a player.
Yeah, and just coming back to Lazarus, we're going to see them spread a little bit, which we're used to them seeing. Obviously, we talk about the Sanok games where they have so much space early game, and this is one of the things I like about Lazarus. They'll go out and sacrifice obviously this looting time to take a decent spread on the center of circle. Obviously, this circle popping over Yaz, they're not just going to sit here. They're going to look for other options outside of the city as well. So already see them setting up off to the northeast, and I think Uncivil's going to push over as far as Alamo, but we'll have to wait and see who takes that role from him and Kurt, but.
Well, I like the expectations. You can see that they're already starting to move to different areas where they know teams like to locate and where they like to rotate through. So you can see where Alo's at as a nice information gathering stage.
Well, and actually Alo's position is one of those areas where we see a lot of teams transition through. They always look for this one story up here. So I love the fact they've sent somebody up there. Even, again, you could counter that with if there are 4 people from another team transitioning through there and they identify it's only one person, he does run the risk of going down early, but I like this positioning early to try and look for kills in rotation.
A very aggressive position. At this stage of the game, being at a tree by yourself just to get that information for your teammates. Ghost already in rotation right now. They're making their way up around Lumberyard, just the backside of prison, so Curious if they're going to actually stop in this location. This team does like to play a lot more centered, so I wouldn't be, oh, hey, what's up? Just I'll give your teammate a little love tap with the car. Yeah,
nobody was watching, don't worry. Nobody ever catches that stuff on stream, so it's fine.
Vegas
just them.
Vegas doing a little bit of scouting, and actually they're heading past Lumberyard, kind of pushing back over next to Lipovka. I wouldn't be surprised if they played back over towards the eastern part, that coastline.
But all I was going to say is we just had it up on screen for a second there, but we talked about Vegas in terms of performance and whatnot. And I think the first 2 weeks, there was maybe a bit more he could have been doing, but he's actually got himself to a 1.1 kill average now, and he's kind of approaching the top 10 for kills. And obviously we haven't seen that because obviously the graphics we cover are top 5s and stuff, but that for me is actually a standout for the way that Ghost have been performing to still put those numbers out is actually really impressive.
Well, it kind of speaks to Ghost incline up the leaderboard. They've been very slow and steady. I wouldn't say it's been a meteoric rise
as well,
at all. It's just been slowly and steadily figuring out, okay, this is what's not working. Let's try to modify this. And it's these little adaptations that are getting them one more place up the leaderboard. Now, if they polish that up just that extra little bit, sky could be the limit. Sure, it's only 3 days left, but there's a lot of points still on that board.
Yeah. We've got Rumblers. I'm not sure if Cherry's got a vehicle. He's got some teammates coming down from the south, so you can see that. But maybe just caught a hint of where Ghost are rotating, because it looks like Cherry's trying to run up on foot to this compound that Ghost have just got to. We've already seen McCoy and Shrimsy looking like, yeah, I think Ghost are going to pull out here. But that's interesting from Rumblers to look to potentially get aggressive. The Vegas looks like he's putting the vehicle inside the 3-story, actually. So I'd be surprised if we see Rumblers push in here, because we're not really too close to the center. But
well, this is also an interesting play coming out of Ghost. They've kind of positioned here, tried to get more information from a high ground spot, and now going to go ahead and continue that rotation. And here comes the military base potential skirmish. It looks like low-key is posted up. Is Zenith aware of where they're at? It looks like they've actually been forcing them back down off of this position. Loeb's already laying down at this stage, not inside the safe zone, and Zenith on the hunt.
I mean, Zenith's on the hunt, but I don't think they have any idea that Loki here. You can see Lopes is going to push now. As he hears the vehicles, will he get a knock?
Goes for the spray back over towards Patron. He's going to get a little bit of damage off, but not enough. It's all just over towards the vehicle. Trying to follow it back over towards Walt Jr., but they do crest that hillside. They get the distance, but they can't cross that bridge.
I mean, Zenith must have been aware that Loki were going to be out somewhere looking for them. Obviously, being aware of the drop down onto their island, they wouldn't have expected anybody to Novo typically, because that isn't a drop spot that's usually occupied. So I love the awareness from Zenith to kind of stop, get out of their vehicles, have a look. Unfortunate for Loki not to pick up a kill point there.
2 prime examples back to back of the importance of information gathering, where we saw Ghost try to go that high ground, we saw Rumblers trying to figure out where they were going.
And Zenith not just sending it across the bridge.
Exactly.
Yeah,
if Zenith had just pushed through that would have been a catastrophe for them.
I mean, Loki had a great spread across that hill as well. You can see Lobes on his own, but just south of that, he did actually have Fignaldo and I think it was Chubba actually, it was next to them. So again, nice trap from Loki. It's a shame it didn't pay off for them.
So Ghost is presently running a 2-1-1 split across the coastline. You can see that we do have Drassel and Vegas. They're posted up, kind of holding the more defensive location where a lot of teams like to push over to. Shrimsy and McCoy are playing very along the coast right now, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see them trying to... It almost feels like this is a safety play right now, trying to deny different locations out.
I like this as well, though, but Shrimsy's spot up on the cliff there, that's one of those spots that we always see.
It's a murder spot.
Yep, somebody trying to wrap as close to the water as possible. They're not going to be expecting somebody there. So I like, again, the setup from Ghost here, and we've seen them do this a lot on Sanok, kind of just be set up and wait for a team to come past them.
Well, it's interesting because we see Ghost regularly try to set up these little traps now on Erangel, and it's Envy on Miramar that we're starting to see him doing it more and more. Envy is a lot more passive inside this map, just trying to get control. You can see that Envy's back down towards the south right now, just kind of looking around, trying to get a feel for what's going on. Circle pops. Looks like we're going back over towards Stalber. Look at the amount of teams already going to have to rotate.
This is good for Ghost, though. Rumba's taking some shots onto Aguilar as he go past. I think Lampalot also on a buy following up, but I was going to say, Ghost positioning here gives them a fantastic opportunity to go straight north. There's nobody ahead of them.
Look at this. You can see it's full on Mad Max right now. Everybody's just cutting a path. A lot of people opting towards Stalber. Keep in mind, there is still that little lake that's just north of Yasnaya that's going to eat up a little bit of rotation potential. So a lot of these teams could be forced to go back and forth skirmishes while driving. We could see a couple of seat swaps coming into play, but really, everybody is just trying to get to safety right now.
All eyes on Tiggleton for the seat. So, well, actually, Shark is another good example of a seat swapper, but we see his tempo here actually with Riot Squad. And this is actually where we saw, I don't know if you remember, VZ pulling up onto one of the down-tempo Storm players. So this is something that we see these guys cross paths here quite often.
Riot Squad in no rush, whereas EU United is just trying to cut a path right through the middle. Lazarus is trying to light them up. A little bit of damage is going to come through, but look at this. EU United is just powering their way up this hillside, and looks like they are going to get away with that. They have a couple of vehicles set up for vehicle defense.
But Genesis has just pulled up on the other side of this compound. And look, Wildcard are crashing in as well. We're going to have 3 teams looking for this warehouse, I think, Matt.
Oh, this could be very interesting depending on the pathing that we see these teams take. We have one team that's already posted up. Ghost taking those shots back over towards Player One Esports as they're in rotation now. Talked about a lot of people like to move along that coastline. Wildcard trying to get defense on this position. Ghost separating out, and EU United making an approach on the other side.
I don't know if Wildcard know. I don't know if Wildcard know that Genesis is here.
You have to assume. On this complex, you have to assume people want it.
You'd have to assume that people want it, but I don't know if Wildcard know that Genesis is this close. Profi's going up on a wide flank. You can see Nerf already peeking. Profi actually going to get the knock on to... Sorry, Nerf getting the knock on to Kickstart to open this up.
But look, EU United here is taking the shots on the other side of this. This is a 3-way squad fight very early in the game as everybody wants this position. With the amount of teams that have already made their way through, this could be very bad for Wildcard because they're pincered in this spot.
If Genesis decide to move up here, it's going to give EU United a great opportunity to shoot Wildcard in the back. It's going to force Wildcard further back into the compound.
Looks like United's starting to group a little bit more, establish kind of their point man back behind them, trying to cover them as any rotations come through. A couple of shots are going to come from off in the distance, so they have to be very cautious on their approach. And there you go. It's going to be Adam that gets it down on Sharu, so that's going to force him to kind of creep back down that hillside. Third party could take him down. Genesis is also caught into a small skirmish with Tempo Storm on the other side of this, now forced to play along the rocks. This
is bad now for Genesis because they become the team that is now pinched. They can't overpeak onto Wildcard without Tempo Storm punishing them. So Genesis now are just going to have to slow play on these rocks.
I should note that there is still a lot of open space inside of this circle. Stalwart has not really been claimed. It's everybody just fighting on this one spot.
We got 4 teams within about 500 meters of each other on this one compound.
And then you've got Space Station Gaming up towards the top of Stalwart, just like, hey, everything's fine. Lazarus has taken a couple of pot shots in that fight as well. That was some of the distance that we saw. You can see United now playing along this one position. Looks like they did not manage to get up the res on this, so Taylor J is just going to pick up a couple of his teammates' gear, trying to see what he can get out of that. But really, Wildcard somehow managed to survive that quite nicely, and I think it's because the influence of all the other teams.
I was going to say, I don't know how they lost Sharu there. I wasn't looking at the kill feed, but I don't know if he got stolen by Lazarus. Because Lazarus had open line of sight onto that.
With that one, I don't know. I know that it was Wildcard that got the knock onto him, so United still kind of separating out. You can see Belfrost playing that lower position. Genesis very firmly grouped at the time, so gonna have to see new circle's gonna pop, gonna make its way even further back over towards the east. So this giant skirmish where all these teams are stacked on top of each other, not inside the safe zone.
No, we're gonna see exactly the same thing with the last circle and this circle again, basically on the opposite side. So big crunch spot here is probably gonna be the northwest corner. Obviously, we've already mentioned we have pretty much 4 teams fighting over this one compound. We have Zenith also coming far in from the west side, but it's going to be interesting to see if anybody can actually get a foothold on the north side of the circle.
There's still a lot of water in this circle, so most of the teams are going to go, okay, there's no way it's going to be along those coastlines, so a lot of adaptation is going to be pushing across the Stolberg hillside. You can see EU United already aware. This is our opportunity. Let's just run down to the vehicles. Let's get out of this skirmish. The problem with it is Lazarus can still take a couple of pot shots at him.
Oh, no.
Envy's deciding to crash right over here next to Sonics, and Sonics is firmly aware. They managed to get a couple of kills off of that. At least one of them is Pat Captain goes down, and nice reposition coming out from Moody as he does manage to take down Tony V.
Oh my god, Tony came out outside the one story there to try and stop the crash, but Moody trying to C-swap him. Does actually get down by Wooly here as well. Tiggleton probably going to follow that up with the nade to flush him out. 2 members of Envy now pushing onto the south side of this compound. I don't know if they know if Keenan's there. But they do get a knock onto Tig.
Yeah, I was going to say, Taro got the knock onto Tig, but you can see nice shots coming out from Keenan. Gets the shots onto one of them, tries to follow up and narrowly does not get the second, so Envy does manage to survive.
I was going to say, I don't think they knew that Keenan was hiding in this once. Oh, okay.
Space Station Gaming trying to make their way down the hillside. They bump into Wildcard. They do manage to take them out. Wildcard was was actually the second team to leave out of that. Genesis is still back in that previous position and is going to have to make their way through either E-United, Lazarus, or Space Station Gaming.
I was going to say, I think Wildcard followed E-United's rotation path there, and SSG just happened to be coming down the hill at the same time. So, I mean, fortunate timing for SSG, unfortunate for Wildcard, obviously.
There's still a cluster of teams that are trying to figure out how to get inside the safe zone. Space Station Gaming back outside of it. On the outside of the safe zone, you can see the Tempo Storm's taking a couple of shots back over towards Zenith. They do already have one down onto Roth, but Zenith looks like they're just separating out, trying to push through. Kindo's kind of the tail end of this, trying to slow them down a little bit, but I think the first 2 members of Zenith can at least get ahead of Tempo Storm, but Space Station Gaming is just waiting for them.
I'm loving the reposition here from SSG to come back up the hill. We see Baha, Hetero, and J-Sang all pushing up to the north here. They know there's fighting going on in Stalwart, and you can already see them them setting up to try and hold Zenith out.
Baja,
Jason getting knocked his third party.
Baja is in a very aggressive position. That down and flush onto J-Sync doesn't matter at this point. They've already managed to get in at least one defensive spot. Now it's going to be a matter of how does Zenith choose to path through this. Keep in mind, Baja has left the safe zone to step out and move into this aggressive spot. Hetero's got a position on this. You can see that Baja is just feeding that information back over, but is Zenith aware? Keep in mind, they got in that fight with Tempo Storm a second ago. That's their hesitation. They're trying to figure out where did Tempo Storm go, but the longer they sit here, Tempo Storm can just cross on a different path.
I mean, Tempo already coming up the dirt road that's on stab, but Baja does get a knock on the wall and Patron, so he's already got 2 knocks here. Tempo are super close. You can see on the minimap here, Baja needs to regroup. Or somebody needs to regroup with Baja.
Tempo Storm hears this, and now they have the inside track on 2 of the members for Space Station Gaming. One member, Valiate, separated out over close to United at the time, but now Baja has to be a little bit slower. As you can see, Tempo Storm is right in front of him, and there's still one member of Zenith alive back behind this. This is kind of a very difficult position to play off of because you have to try to gather so much information. Headshore right in the face of Tempo Storm right now, and Maluk looks like he knows. He was prepping the grenade out.
Saw him. I think.
Oh, it's the wrong tree. He just heard the footsteps. So now Headshore, very aware that there's another team down below him. Another grenade's gonna come out next to Headshore. Headshore is just trying to get some information. Baja still out.
They know the tree now. They know the tree. Maluk's gonna nade this out. I think Headshore should go down to one of these. Yeah, there you go. So Headshore gonna fall here. Baja with that. Well.
Baja at least gets Gindo down inside of this. So
I mean,
up to
if you look
6 kills.
at 6 kills is absolutely fine, but again, you've got to argue if they were together holding the hard edge inside the circle, Tempo wouldn't have been able to get into this position.
But Valiate is still back down next to E United right now. He was their back guy behind this and could have provided some form of support. Baja is on his own right now, and he has a full squad in front of him, and Valiate is in no position to provide any support.
No. And this is unfortunately something we've seen time and time again with SSG, and unfortunately, again, in this circumstance, not paying off for them. I mean, they've got 6 kills, so again, you know, great consolation prize, but you've got to argue their chances would have been better if they were grouped up on this edge to hold these teams out. Jumping back on with Envy, actually. Envy is still trying to clean up this fight with Sonics.
Got a couple of smokes down right in front of the building. Now starting to try to get a little bit more damage off. Nice grenade coming out from Intero. Good cook onto that's going to take down Tickleton. Remember, he's already been down once. So here comes the pressure, but Pride does go down inside of his jump into this. So now it's just Taro on the outside of this, trying to figure out how he wants to make his approach in. Wooly's just holding this low ground position. Taro starting to get third-party shots coming after him. He's going to have to push in, try to find some cover. You can hear Wooly trying to figure out where he's gone. Taro actually kind of baits past and moves up into the second story.
Yeah, this is, I was going to say, we just saw on the minimap there, Genesis actually crashing into the shack just north of this. So both of these players need to clean this up pretty quickly because you can already see Genesis looking to pressure this.
Well, on the other side of this, we got Tempo Storm that's running into Riot Squad. They were grouped up. Oh, after that separation, Tempo Storm gets taken out by Riot Squad just in a firm defensive position. Watch out for that UAZ. Okay, but now back over with Intero as he did take down Sonics as well.
Was that 4 of Tempo in the same vehicle?
Yes. They got stalled off of that skirmish with Baja.
Yeah.
Fun thing to note, though, Baja is still alive right now.
And Valiate's still alive.
Yeah. So Taro's
We spoke too soon.
getting that spray back over. It all worked out in the end. It was a master plan, right?
It was all planned. It was all planned.
So Valiate kind of posted up, getting a little bit of information, still just watching E United, praying the fact that they continue to defend for him. Looks like he's thinking about going a little bit more aggressive this time. Does manage to hit the thighs of Taylor J.
He's going to
get down onto it, but yeah, he should be able to get this down pretty easy. The rest of E United is already starting to mobilize over there. Nice bounce on the grenade. Goes a touch too far and allows Taylor J to get the meds back up. A little bit of a peek back forth. Valiate's trying to get the shots off. Taylor J didn't seem like he had an idea on where he's at, but the return grenade's going to force Valiate out off of this. Taylor J still just trying to get his life up. Valiate's just going to push right over towards him, try to get this down, and does manage to get it. So Taylor J is down. Easy Flush should be able to come up back behind this, and Stab's not in a position to capitalize either.
No, Stab now, you can see pushing up from the south on the minimap. Valet is not going to have any idea exactly where Stab is, so does still have the element of surprise, I guess. H1 is down on Genesis here. We've got K-Mine and Profi looking like they're trying to recover from the situation, but when they did crash in, Profi did actually get knocked by K-Mine's vehicle. Taro looking like he's trying to push out with these nades here. So.
And he's by himself. He's the last member of his squad. He knows that there's a down over here. If he can get this grenade off, it would be huge. The res does come through. Does it go through the window? No, it bounces from the frame and pops back onto the top of it. Taro realizing it was close, but just going to retreat back off. Now he's in a little bit of trouble. Does have the motorcycle, but that's
where do you send it?
You just got to send it center circle at this point. It's only Endemic posted up over there right now.
I mean, you can see Lazarus on the minimap here pushing out. They know that both these teams are weakened. They can see the knocks. They know these teams are positioned here. Taro opting to take the vehicle.
Going with it. trying to send it off the side. Does manage to get away from Genesis, playing right along the edge, but there are a lot of teams in front of him. It's going to be Rumblers that are taking a couple of shots at him. Now Lazarus looking towards a weakened Genesis, but finally, Rumblers do spot out Taro, and Envy is eliminated.
Cherry picking that one up, and actually Micro split off further to the north of Rumblers, trying to pressure Genesis as well. So actually Luke got a line sight straight onto Micro here.
Micro's trying to peek back, figure out what's going on. Lazarus is trying to get more control right along the edge of the circle. Genesis finding themselves in a little bit of an awkward spot as Luke is just spinning from multiple teams, just trying to hold them in location while the rest of his team forms up and finds a point that they want to play from.
Yeah, and the Lazarus is set up right now. You can see they've identified where these teams are outside the circle, trying to hold their edge and stop them from rotating in. Valier does finally find Stab, so SSG up to 8 kills now. So again, things paying off in one way and not the way you would want to see it.
Can we talk about the damage control coming out of Space Station Gaming right now? I thought for certain they were going to be down to 1 member a long time ago, and they are still just picking up kill after kill as they make their way through this. K-Mine hits a nice shot back over towards Uncivil. Grenade's going to come out. This could be nice connecting on the side of Luke. Luke just jumps around the side of the tree, does a loop around it, somehow survives, and it's going to be third party coming up from the Rumblers that takes down Genesis as now K-Mine last member up.
And actually K-Mine taking a tag from Rumblers there. This nade might be good as well. Luke's probably going to fall to... Oh my god!
Oh, narrowly
literally
survives.
1 HP. And there shuts down K-Mine.
Now Lazarus has control over this point, and they're all the way across this. Sure, Rumblers saw everything that was going on, but should I be able to res off of this? And look at the brave action coming out from Luke. Like, I don't need my meds. I just got you, bro. I'm going to run over here and protect you.
Wow. What a third party from Rumblers. Unfortunate timing for Genesis. K-Mine looking like he was going to get both of the knocks there.
Oh, no.
Baha moving in the open now. We have had Tetra move all the way out here. You can see them holding their edge. I'm not sure Baha's going to have enough utility to get across this. Yeah, there you go.
So that's 5 kills now making their way up for Vanquish, who's having themselves a pretty, I would say, good game for as quiet as it's been. They've just kind of been capitalizing at different points, getting kills here and there.
A fantastic game.
Yeah.
Vanquish by Vanquish standards, but...
Still all 4 members up, too.
No, this is good. This is something we're not used to seeing with Vanquish, so hoping they can carry this through to the late game. We do see one of Lazarus hitting the prone there, trying to get them in off. I think Rumblers are actually looking as if they're trying to aggress onto this road here. Endemic very quiet in the compound in the middle of the circle right now. I do have to point that out. They haven't been pushing out to hold it. And again, they had a good opportunity to hold teams like Rumblers coming across the open terrain here, but opting to stay in the, in the compound in the safety there. We'll see if that works out for them.
Well, there's the hillside that's in play and a lot of trees, but there's also a lot of very dangerous paths. With having 26 people up, this is going to be very difficult for a lot of these teams to try to figure out how they want to make the approach. Endemic is in their own little dip, just listening to all the violence right now and holding close angles, praying for somebody to actually walk close to them so maybe they can get a kill off of it. Rumblers, you can see, avoiding the buildings. Everybody knows there's going to be somewhere here. So let's just not even go near that right now.
Yeah, and I mean, you run the risk of that as well. If you're too passive in the center circle, we talk about it time and time again where teams get circles, 2 or 3 circles in the mid game, and they're not in a position to pick up kills because everybody knows not to push there.
Something to note, we still have 4 members of Ghost up right now. They've got some utility thrown down, smokes that they're trying to play around. Looks like they're trying to get inside their vehicles. They do have a very dangerous push that they're about to pull off, and this could be very bad as McCoy is the front man onto it. But look, there's so many people shooting at this. A lot of damage coming through. McCoy jumps out of the vehicle and gets taken down after he goes through it. But can any support from anybody else from Ghost come through this? Looks like Vegas does manage to follow back behind that UAZ rolling down the hillside. As you can see, vehicles are just all over the place right now.
Cherry throwing this nade in here, knows that Pax is in the smoke. I think he's going to get him with that nade. No, it went too far. Bit too far. So Rumblers here desperately trying to hold out low-key over on this side of the circle. Lobes has actually managed to make it in. I think it was his UAC we saw flying down the hill in the opposite direction, but big trouble right now for Pax if Lobes can't get any damage down. He's already in the smoke.
But also big trouble for Rumblers. They can't easily move forward. They've got somebody that's stalling them. The blue is coming in. They don't have a very good spot to play from right now. And it's a lot of shots coming through as Lobes does manage to get the shot back over towards Waldo. Pax does go down, but now you can see that's slowing down Rumblers even more, and they just really have an open hillside in front of them that they're going to have to contend with. Look at all the bullets whizzing right over their head.
Yeah, P1E now in a position where they're protecting Rumblers because Ghost was shooting at Rumblers whilst they were trying to clean up low-key there. So you can see Shrimsy getting down and flushed by Lamp a lot there. So last one up now for Ghost, I think, is Vegas. So Vegas managed to make his way over to the street here. Foes are getting a great knock onto Perk.
Nice play coming outside that. Tries to go for the flush. His grenade lands right in front of him and knocks him down. 2 members of Vanquish looking back over towards Lazarus. Lazarus is still looking, trying to figure out, okay, what angle are they going to be approaching from? But keep in mind, Player 1 Esports is back behind Vanquish right now. So a little bit of separation coming out of Vanquish as they're now pushing on 2 different points. But Lazarus not happy about the fact they lost one of their members, pushing forward in the smoke, on the hunt, do get one of them, get the down onto, and a follow coming through off of that. Lazarus now up to 7 kills.
And this is what we've seen them do time and time again. Take control of their edge, be aggressive, push, and try and clean out before the circle closes so they have the time to reposition here.
And Dimmick getting a couple of shots back over towards Rumblers. Cherry Poppins does go down and get flushed out of this. And Dimmick still got a little bit of their building complex inside the circle, but Player One Esports has got themselves a nice little ridge, a couple of trees to work with, but inside this circle, that's nice. There's not a lot to be had here.
P1E were 4 up.
Yes.
Again, something we haven't seen a lot of. As I say that, Microfight down in and trying to flush David. So unfortunate time in there, but P1E in a good position here to hold this ridge that runs through the middle of the circle.
Rumblers are still going to have to move forward just a little bit more, but they do know they have Player One Esports off to one side, trying to capitalize off of that, shoot back down inside the smokes, but Relo going to follow through off of Dimmick's positioning right next to that building complex, going to get a shot back over towards the Rumblers, as Lazarus is still just continuing to play around different points, trying to find more kills, capitalizing on every single time they hear someone shoot.
Yeah, and I love this positioning from Lazarus, because they're in a position where they have, obviously, Alo running anchor here, watching the flank. Luke and Uncivil are just free to pressure P1E away here. Obviously, Rumblers, not in the greatest spot, but what they need to do right now is not make a lot of noise until the circle closes a bit. Everybody needs to shoot everybody else.
One of the best things that's working out for Rumblers right now is there's a couple of trees along the hillside that's denying sightline from Lazarus, who has that high ground. So they can continue to survive right now, but you can see they are just desperately clinging to it. One of their members does bleed out, trying to get the res back onto another one. Meanwhile, Lazarus continuing to harass Player One Esports just along this hillside.
I mean, Endemic, I want to see them come out and pressure onto this hill, because right now everybody else is picking up these kill points. Lazarus, I mean, already up to 9 or 10 kills. I'm not sure what the count is at, but they're ultimately going to capture most of the available points that are left of this game.
And Dimmick is starting to get a little bit more aggressive, but it's still just like, it's like they've got a safety leash back towards that building right now. They're not stepping out too far. Lazarus is starting to still look around, starting to make their way back down that hillside. Just narrowly misses seeing David as he spins back around that direction.
I think he spotted him there.
Yeah, he's got the beat onto him, and look at that beautiful headshot. That's why Luke has managed to rack up so many of these kills. Does manage to take down David. Now you can see Player One Esports in trouble from multiple angles, as Endemic also laying into him.
I was going to say, the only thing that's protected P1E right now is Endemic. So if Endemic don't push out onto this hill, Lazarus do have an opportunity to peek down onto this. We'll see. I think Uncivil actually looking to try and flush Lampard out, but he didn't. Crispy actually getting the final kill onto Microfight, so that's Rumblers eliminated. Aguila right now just needs to bide his time and wait for Endemic to come out of this compound.
So we've got Endemic on one side of this, Lazarus on another, and Aguila just kind of caught in the middle. The circle does pop back over towards him, but let's listen into Lazarus comms.
Look for him. I'm gonna look for Endemic. Oh.
Yeah, just keep being patient on that edge. Yeah, keep being patient. You're doing good.
I can't see this P1E guy at all. I'm looking for him.
One trying to wrapping on
you.
You
might be on the close tree, Luke, like on orange. Just like impossible for you to check.
Watch out yellow, watch yellow if you can.
And Demi's gotta move, so you just worry about them for now.
It makes closer up as well.
Don't give an opportunity.
They're already wrapping,
Wrapping
One's
right.
far east on my mark.
One's probably holding left. One's probably holding far down, like southeast.
You had to have been prone there.
Luke, can you wrap that? I think you might.
Luke's playing up and playing for the Democrats. Don't let them in for free.
Smoke pushing.
Nades.
Yeah, they're forcing this right side. Just playing spoiler. Luke saw one pushing. Luke saw two. Luke's lit. Needs help.
Right lit.
Not much I can do.
He knocked
Right
one.
knocked, right knocked.
Just lit another one. In the smokes.
I lit another one. In the spikes.
Good try.
Fuck.
That was a good game.
So Endemic, a little bit damage off of their fight from Lazarus. Aguila aware of the fact that, okay, this is where the fight was happening. See if he can capitalize off of anything. Gets the spray on the side, but doesn't get the down onto Wolf. Tries to capitalize back the other direction, and now everybody on Endemic knows exactly where he is. He has this little bit of a ridge that he can make the play off of, but 10 seconds before the circle starts to collapse back down. Are they going to go for the res? No, they opt away from it. Nice shots coming out from Aguila. Does manage to get one. Crispier going for the outside flank onto this. Looking back over there, something's playing back behind the tree. Can Crispier get back behind Aguila? Find an angle that he isn't expecting. Aguila still holding this position, trying to figure out, okay, where is this approach going to happen from? And Endemic not pushing this too hard right now. I feel like they're not capitalizing on a way that they should with their numbers. They should be able to know the fact that they have control over this.
I mean, they've split as well, giving Aguila the opportunity to reposition like this. So he's actually in a position where if he can get an angle onto something without Crispia being in a trade position, this is very winnable for Aguila.
As they make their way down that hillside, if they come down together and they wait for that blue to come up, they could line up perfectly for him to hit a magnificent spray, which is starting to happen.
The problem is here, they're giving him the high ground. They're literally giving him the high ground before the circle started closing. If Aguila can peek over here, spot one of them, which I want to see him be more active, his best chance right now is to peek.
He's starting to hear the footsteps. He should hear the smoke, see it come out now. This is the hilltop point. This is whenever they push down. This is whenever Endemic is going to be the most vulnerable, and you can tell. They know. They don't want to make this push back down because this is where it is so dangerous for him. He goes for the spray onto one of them. Does not get the down, and now they know where he is. Aguila's in a lot of trouble. Tries to go back over for this. Keep in mind, Player One Esports does have 8 kills right now, so looking back over something, trying to get this. There we go. We get the kill off of it. But now Aguila, low on life, trying to figure out what's going on. Where is Crispier at? Doesn't have an idea on the angle. He can see something.
He can get this med. He can get this med.
He's going to get it off, so now has some meds to work with. Going to get another point out of this. Looking back over towards Crispier, still just laying down. Now it's a peak battle back and forth, right along this hillside. Spray's going to come out, and Aguila manages to get it.
Oh my God.
What can you say? Just good capitalization, using the terrain, pushing through this. A great game coming up for Player One Esports.
I'm absolutely speechless. Again, hats off to Aguila, but what a throw by Endemic. I even called it, if they gave him the opportunity to have that high ground there, they gave him a free peek onto both players.
They felt so hesitant on that wide open hill drop that they just didn't want to step into because they lost line of sight on him. And Aguila was so smart to move back into an aggressive position.
Great position.
Instead of moving back towards center circle. Most people will go, okay, I'm the last guy up. Let me just try to crawl back to center and force them